All right, so greetings to everyone watching. It is now the end of the workday. It was the end of the workday earlier, but I got into a little bit of fun, played some Oculus Quest, so I had a good time. So let's get back to studying for this test I've got coming up this year. So outside the video, I went ahead and configured CE1 and PE1, so we'll take a quick look at that. So configuration, I've display set type no more. So really skimpy configuration on CE1, as is going to be the case for the CEs used in this sort of exercise. Another thing I can show anyone who's new to Junipers, so you can actually take a look at because everything's in a candidate configuration, and then you make a commit for it to go into the active configuration. Those commits are actually stored, and you can go back and look at them later. So I thought it was show system configuration. I think it's show, yeah, it's show configuration, and then oh no, it's going to be show system configuration or show system commits. Yeah. And here's a good example too. I've done this plenty of times in my old job. I moved on to something kind of dealing a little bit more with code and development. So it's been a while since I've run a command like this, but you can see that question mark is really your best friend. You can, as long as you know what you want to do, you can just use that question mark and really figure it out. So show system commit. So here's all the commits that were made, the users that made the commit. You can see how the commit was made, either through the CLI or some other protocol like netconf. You can see here I did the commit confirmed, so it'll tell you that. Another thing you can do, so it looks like here's a few commits that were made through some other means besides the command line, probably just by way of the device booting up or something like that. I'm not too sure. It's the first time I've really seen that other. So it's only going to show you the last 50 commits. So you'll see commit 0 all the way down to 49 once it gets that far. And if you want to see what those commits actually were, you can do show system commits and then you have to bear with me here because it's not only has it been a while since I did this every single day, I mean only a few months, but it was on a different system. It wasn't on one of these VMX images. So the commands definitely vary from image to image. But here's the command here. It looks like this is actually going to be the same. So you just use this show system rollback command, and then you enter the configuration, the commit you want to see. So if I go back to show system commits, I've got each of my commits assigned a number here. So I can do show system rollback, and what it will show you is the configuration up to that number. So if I specify another number 2, I'm going to see everything I saw in 1, but I'm also going to see what I saw in 2. Well, what if you only want to see what was done in commit number 2 and you don't really care so much about what was done in commit number 1? You can do show system rollback compare, and now you can compare one rollback number to another. So, for example, let's see what happened from commit 3 to commit 2. And these are ordered by the most recent. So commit 0 is just what's in the running config right now. Commit 1 is what was in the running config before you made your most recent commit, because your most recent commit, of course, is what's in the running config right now. So we're going to look at what was in the running configuration 3 commits ago. It might be 4. No, I think it's 3. Because if we're going to look at the back here, we're going to look at what was in there 1 commit ago. And we can see, oh yeah, sure enough. So it's telling you to add an IP address to the interface facing the PE, because that's going to be the only physical interface used on the CE. And it's also going to tell you to add a IP address to the loopback address. So you can see, oh, sure enough, my last running configuration before I made my most recent commit, in fact, did not have these IP addresses configured. And now if I just look at what's on there now, which is of course the same if I would just do a show configuration, you can see that it does have those addresses on there. And then there was a there actually, of course, you need to form a OSPF connection with the PE router so that you can go ahead and advertise this route over into the VPN. So yeah, it's really good to understand how that works. You'll be using that a ton whenever you're in production. It's always a good thing to be able to tell what somebody did on a device. Hopefully you won't have any coworkers who are dishonest or anything, but you know, if someone tells you, I did this, and you go in, you're like, well, did you? Well, here it says, you know, you did this, you know, they've got some explaining to do, and it's kind of nice to not have to be in a situation where that's gonna actually have legs and kind of save you, you know, lying. I much prefer a situation where everything's out in the open, people can see what you did, and they're gonna work with you, lend you a hand, and we're all gonna try to be the best we can be, instead of a situation where, oops, I made a mistake, but all my coworkers are too dumb to figure it out anyway, so I'm off scot-free. Really not gonna learn as much in that situation, really not gonna get as consistently good results, in my opinion. So commands like these are really important to know, and not just for a reason like that, just if you want to go back and see what you did, it's invaluable to know these commands, especially if you don't have logging set up on your terminal. And here you can see kind of how the command works, so you can either compare it to, and let's think about this more. So if I use 1, then I'm saying what happened 1 commit ago, and then if I say 2, what happened 2 commits ago. So obviously the difference between what happened 2 commits ago and what happened 1 commit ago is going to look different than the difference between what happened 1 commit ago and what happened 2 commits ago. Because 2 commits ago, I didn't have this configuration that I added in my last commit, because you can go ahead and do show system rollback 1, and you can see what the configuration would look like if I took out everything that I had added 1 commit ago. So it would be missing all of this information here in the exercise. So let's say I compare that. So what does it look like one commit ago compared to what it looks like now? Well, it looks like I added this extra configuration one commit ago. So, but however, what does it look like now compared to what it looked like one commit ago? Well, one commit ago, it didn't have all this information that is in there now because I added it during that commit. So you can see there's a difference here that these are negative signs and these are plus signs depending on the order I entered the commits in. So that's something that's really important to know. Kind of my preference is I just want to see what I did last compared to what is current. So I generally will always use the higher number followed by a lower number. And generally, I don't do a lot of comparing amongst non-consecutive commits, but of course you can, once you know how this works and know how to use it, you can go ahead and use it for however will benefit you the most. So yeah, that's actually a really solid lesson in this. If anyone's new to Juniper and never seen that before, I'll make sure to leave a note that this content's going to be in the video. And but for now, I'm just going to move on and hopefully try to get all the configuration up for this topology by the end of the video. And then the next one will be going through and doing those troubleshooting, and then I'll hopefully do another Wireshark analysis of all the links as well. So let's check this PE1. Yep, sure enough, it looks like it's all good to go. And we saw in the last video, I went and tore down all the configurations from option A. So that's not just leftover configuration or anything. That's actually the configuration I added earlier between videos. Okay, so I think now is, unfortunately, I'm going to need to end the video, but this is a great lesson on how to use the rollback features in Juniper or the commit. I actually didn't go over how to actually go ahead and roll it back, so I'll explicitly say that. What's happening on the P1 router appears to be my CLI, and so it's coming back. So this is something that is actively opened with GNS3 as a troubleshooting ticket that they're looking into and hoping to resolve in some future updates. But unfortunately, until then, the command line prompt disappears and does not come back unless you reboot the router, which actually does take some time. But so I might need to just stop the video. Actually, I might go ahead and kind of let's go ahead and take a closer look into what is behind the scenes of this lab. So in the software video, I only showed GNS, and that's pretty much a kind of a small component of what is in there. And I'm of course being careful to not show any private information like passwords or public IP addresses or anything, but I can certainly continue to not do that just by this screen here. But that's a reason why I'm perhaps being a bit guarded with what I'm showing here. But you can see my virtual machines. Here's that GNS VM that I demoed in my software video. So it's really just a part of this ESXi operating system on that hardware that I demoed before. So it's just a virtual machine running off of this operating system on that hardware video. So I didn't mention that. That's something I just kind of left behind the scenes, but kind of a good glimpse into that you're getting now. And you can see I actually have a VPN set up too, where if I take this laptop to a coffee shop or wherever I want to take it, I can just connect to that and I can use my lab on the go. So let's take a look at this GNS3 virtual machine. And we can see, yep, it's all just private IPs, so there's no public IPs or anything like that. So I can definitely share this. Let's open the console window, and I like to do it in a new tab. So I have found that, yes, you can go ahead and you can just reboot all the routers in GNS using the reboot button here, reload all nodes. You can do it individually, right-clicking. So reload. But I've actually found that takes quite a bit longer than if you just reboot the virtual machine. And one of the things I have set up is a cron job in my virtual machine. So if I open up a shell to it, you can see the command line for the GNS3 VM here. And if I type cat etc cron tab, you can see this file here that has things run automatically when they're specified to run. You can see at the very end here, unfortunately I don't have a cursor, but right above where I'm entering text here, you've got that command sbin shutdown -r now. So, and you can see that line starts with 05 and then **1 root. So that's going to happen every day at 5 a.m. It's just going to reboot this machine, and then I'm hoping that's enough so I'll never have to run into that issue where I can't get the prompt back. And so far it has been so good. This is the first time I've actually run into it in a long time. I can certainly go ahead and just add another reboot so that it happens less, but I think I'm pretty happy with what I've got so far. So I'm going to go ahead and just give it that extra reboot because it really, I don't think, takes all that long if you do it this way. Unfortunately, that's going to limit my ability to demo how to actually roll back the configuration, but it's really easy. You just go configure private and then roll back. One thing to know using that, when you specify the number that you want to roll back to, you can't, unfortunately, just roll back the configuration that was changed during that number. So let's say in your 7th commit, you admin up an interface. So you did set interface LO0 disable. So that would actually admin down that interface. You brought it down. So unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to do rollback 7 and then have it do delete interface LO0 disable and bring that back up. What would happen is you would roll back all of the configuration up to and including that 7th commit. So you would actually end up bringing that port back up and undoing that set disable command you had. But whatever you did since, that would also be done as well. So unfortunately, it's a little bit more limited. There's other kinds of operating systems for networking gear, such as Cisco iOS XE and iOS XR, that have a lot more features where you can actually roll back just a specific commit. So that's really nice. But Juniper was really the first to the game with this whole concept of a candidate and running config anyways, and just the ability to roll back anything and not have it immediately go into the running config and ruin your day if you do it wrong. So they deserve lots of props and credits for that, even though it might be missing one key thing that would make life a little easier. Really gotta give them credit where credit is due. They did a really good job on designing those kinds of features. So you can see it's up here pretty quick. If I had hit that restart button, it would have taken a bit longer. Either way, it's going to take kind of long. So really nothing to see here. I think I'll end this video and just say that it's a good explanation of some of the rollback and restoration, how to view a comparison between your old commits and your running config. So kind of a exploration into more about configuration management on the Juniper command line. Hope you enjoyed it.